Hi everyone! In this video I want to talk about a few things that I wish I knew as a beginner artist. And I actually have another video just like this one that I made a while ago, and the one before was 5 things, and I thought of another 5 things really easily because there's a lot of things I wish I did differently, like when I was first learning how to draw, because there's a lot of things that I struggle with now with my art that I feel like if I paid more attention to them, then I maybe wouldn't struggle with as much. Here's 5 things that I wish I knew. I found it very easy to come up with things to tell my younger artist self. So the first thing that I wish I did, and this is actually something that's really hard to do, and maybe it's easier said than done because I find it easier to do this now that I'm not really a beginner anymore, but I wish that as a beginner artist I drew outside of my comfort zone more, because the thing I drew the most as a beginner were girls, like over and over, female characters, and maybe that's what I needed to do to keep me interested in art. But I don't know why I didn't draw animals more, because animals are so fun to draw. They're really hard at first. If you've never really drawn animals before, they are difficult. It's hard to know their anatomy, it's hard to tell, like all animals are slightly different, so of course you can't just like know how to draw every animal, you gotta pay attention to each different animal, there's so many. But animals are really fun to draw, and I can't believe I only drew humans for like the longest time, and I just wish I like experimented more and drew and like diversified my subject matter, because I feel like that would have really helped me, and I was just too fixated on drawing characters all the time, and I think maybe now I've kind of diverged away from that a little bit too much, and I don't draw them enough anymore, so I kind of have to find the balance again. I just wish as a beginner I drew outside of my comfort zone and I experimented more, and I wish I wouldn't be so afraid of, not really afraid of failure, but I feel like I just was afraid to experiment, or maybe I would just get so frustrated when I did experiment that I wouldn't want to, and I think that's a common problem, and maybe that's why I just didn't. It just took me this long. But that's something I wish I did when I was younger, because I think it would have helped me today. A lot of these tips are things that I think would help me currently. So the second one is to consciously work on making things not look too stiff, because I think stiffness is something that I am constantly struggling with in my art, and I think having your art look really stiff is a really common problem, and it's one of the things that are the hardest to overcome, at least for me, because art that has a lot of energy and is lively and has movement is usually a good piece of art or a good sketch. If it's not too stiff and if it has movement to it, it's always like 10 times better than something that's extremely stiff. And I think stiffness is something that it's very present in my art, and I think I need to make kind of a more conscious effort to make my art more loose. And if I knew this as a beginner, and if I knew I needed to make my art more loose, if I paid attention to this more, I think it would have helped me today, because having like your art having energy it makes it more exciting. It makes your eyes move around the illustration. Something that's stiff is just very boring, and something that is loose and has movement is just overall better. And I think I already said this, and I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit, but it's true, and I wish I knew this. So that is the second one that I wish I knew as a beginner. Another one, and I feel like this is kind of necessary, this just happens with anything, but for my whole life, I liked art, I put like time into it, but I didn't really, like it was more of like crafts, like a couple drawings here or there, but like I wasn't fully invested in it. Maybe around like grade 6 to grade 8 is when I was like kind of really experimenting with drawing. But the thing I would do is I would go for months and I'd be so invested in drawing and watching YouTube videos and following tutorials and trying to improve, and then I would just suddenly not draw for months, and then I would pick it up again, and I would be so excited to draw again, and I was having so much fun, and then I would stop. And then in grade 9, I picked it up again, and I never stopped, and there's a truck outside. Everything's always so much more lively in the summer. Well, it's not summer, but it's getting there. And there's like birds, there's lawnmowers, there's trucks. There's just so much background noise in the spring and summer. So like I said, I took months off of drawing, And maybe this was necessary because I wasn't really fully invested. I wasn't really sure if it's what I really wanted to do. It didn't really fully capture my attention until I started my YouTube channel, and that's when I never took breaks anymore, and I would just draw every day. And it's hard to think that I've been drawing every day since then. I'm sure there's days where I don't draw, but I mean like constantly drawing for all those years. That would be like about 6 years, I think. But I would tell my past self to not take such long breaks. Keep drawing because you know you like it and you're going to go for it in the future anyway. But maybe it was meant to be to take such long breaks, I don't know, but I would tell myself to not do that and to keep drawing. Don't forget about it. Don't put it on the back burner because it's what you're going to pursue in the future. I guess I mostly saw it as a hobby at that point. I didn't really realize how much I would want to be drawing. Number 4 is to sketch a lot and use your sketchbooks. I used my sketchbooks, but I didn't finish them. Okay, this is another tip. Finish your sketchbooks. I wasted so much paper as a younger artist. And I mean, I kind of do that now because there's just some sketchbooks that I really don't like the paper and I can't be bothered to sketch in them. But I've told myself from this point on, any sketchbook you have, try to use up all the paper. And also, try to sketch a lot. Like, use your sketchbooks and use color. Use as much color as you can and use paint. I would tell myself that. I would tell myself to try. Like, I was so worried about drawing in front of people. Oh, wait, no. There was actually a time where I didn't care. There was a time where I would draw in class. Not during class. Like, I would pay attention, but like during lunch, I would draw and I wouldn't care. But nowadays, I can't imagine doing that. But nowadays, actually, I'm getting better at that. So I went through not caring to caring a lot to not caring as much. So I would just tell myself to use your sketchbook more, fill your pages, draw more, just like push yourself more. I would tell myself that. And I know these things are so much easier said than done, but I know I've seen what happens when I like push myself to draw a lot or just do like a large volume of sketching like for a long period of time, and even just being in school and having to draw so much. I've seen what it does, and it can really help your art a lot, but it can also burn you out. So it's good to have the balance between the two and to not overwork yourself. But maybe I was underworking myself. But then again, you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself as a beginner, because if you put too much pressure on yourself, you're gonna be afraid to do anything because it might be wrong or not good enough for your own standards. But I would still tell myself to sketch a lot because I think that was important, and I don't think I did it enough. And I haven't been doing it enough lately either, ever since school ended, because I've been feeling so burnt out, but I think I'm finally getting momentum again, so that's good. The last tip that I would do, I drew so many characters, but I didn't work on expressions very much. I would always draw them smiling or slightly happy or like angry, and I still kind of do that. It's like happy or angry are like the two easy expressions for me. But I wish I pushed myself more over the years. I wish I paid more attention to expressions as a beginner artist. And even now, I think it would have helped me now. And that's something that I want to work on. I want to work on making my characters looser, have more energy, not be so stiff, and have more specific expressions and not just be smiling. Because that's just my default. That's how I always draw everything. I just don't think about expressions very much. And I think if I did that as a beginner, I would maybe have an easier time now, because then those habits would carry on through me practicing and I might be better at it now. But it's good to not live in the past. It's good to not say, oh man, I wish I drew more. I would have been so much better by now, because you can't change the past. All you can do is live in the moment and plan for the future. So all these things I should keep in mind currently and try to do them so that my habits will carry on into the future. So I'm going to try to take all these tips and apply them to myself, and I hope some of these helped you. I know some of them might be obvious, but to me as a little young artist, they weren't. If I think of more things I wish I knew, I'll make another video if you want me to. And also, if there's anything you want me to talk about, any topics, a few people have been suggesting me to do another digital art video, and I definitely want to do that. I'm going to do a couple more digital videos because digital art is my favorite medium, and I should probably do more of those. So let me know anything you want me to discuss, any topics, Tutorials I find difficult because I don't want to come across like I think I know everything, because I don't. But if there are any little tutorials you want me to do, I'll try, or anything you want me to talk about, I will try, and please tell me in the comments. So I really hope you got something from this video, and I'll see you in my next video.